So I think we'll start with the session, and if people are joining, that's fine. Otherwise, it's going to be a video on my page, so no issues about participants here. So today I would like to discuss about sentence correction, which has been a very important topic. When we talk about competitive exams or placements, right? So basically, sentence correction to define it is a topic where no the candidates are no it's important for them to look at a particular sentence and then try to identify the mistakes with the sentence, right? So when it comes to sentence correction, people it's important for students to have prior knowledge about grammar topics, a few grammar topics, not everything, preferably like articles, prepositions, and tenses. These are main topics that are considered as prerequisite for getting along with sentence correction. So, and apart from that, you need to have some idea about vocabulary so that you can understand the sentence well, and then you would be able to associate vocabulary, grammar, and everything in a sentence, and then make sure that no the sentence no appears perfect. So basically, in a sentence correction exercise, you will receive a sentence, and there would normally be an error, and it will be divided into five parts. Like, say, for example, A part, B part, C part, D part, and E part, where the last part, that is the E part, is normally it's given as no error, okay, in the option. So when you read the sentence and if you find that there is no error, you will have to just select that option. Now, what makes sentence correction a very important topic in verbal ability is it tests your understanding of grammar, and at the same time it tests your understanding of the context being spoken. So you have to have some clear idea about both the grammar and the context, and then make sure that there are no errors in a sentence. For this, we need some prior knowledge about grammar, and apart from that, you should also have some knowledge about other topics too. For example, there are many subtopics that comes under sentence correction. So basically, you have modifiers, then you have parallelism, and then you have subject verb agreement, which is the basics of sentence correction topic. And you should also know about say verbs and articles, prepositions. All these things are considered as fundamentals of sentence correction. Now what we are going to do is, I'm not going to elaborate on all these topics. If required, we will do it in another live video. Now, as of now, what we have to plan is we have to just understand how sentence correction typically works and what you have to do and how you should prepare. Now, for this, I have to come with the basics first. Now, no, if you look at the basics, the first thing that you have to understand about no understand about a sentence is as we always say, it's the subject, verb, and object. That's what we usually start with. So a sentence will always have a subject, and then we have it as a verb, which is called as the heart of the sentence, and which initiates some action. Now, without verb, there is no action, and verbs cannot be treated just as action words. It can also represent state. So basically, there are different types of verbs. Now we have regular verbs, irregular verbs, main verbs, auxiliary verbs, transitive, intransitive. We have a lot of verbs, right? So we will touch upon all those things which are important to for the discussion now. So basically, what happens is that when you look at a sentence, you have to identify the subject first, because subject is everything when it comes to a sentence. Because without a subject, you cannot generate a meaning, and it is very difficult to find out what the subject is preferably doing. So basically, we need to always look at the subject to understand the action behind the subject. So subject is very important. Then coming to the verb, it denotes the action. Now, whatever action the subject is trying to do, now we denote it with a verb. And then we have the object, right? That is the effect of the action falls upon the object. Now, when we talk about sentence correction, we are not concerned about the object here. We are more typically focusing on, subject and the verb. So basically, when we talk about subject and verb, we normally, call it as subject-verb agreement. So in English, under subject-verb agreement, it's stated that the subject and the verb should always agree to each other. Now, this is the basic rule that we have to understand. So as a candidate, first you should make sure that you understand what is a subject and then what is a verb and how subject and verbs are connected to each other, and then you have to find out whether they agree to each other or not, and that itself is a separate topic. We call it as subject verb agreement, right? So if it doesn't agree, it means that there is some error with the subject and the verb. So you have to make sure that it agrees. Now when we talk about agreement, it's about singular and plural. Okay. So the basic rule of sentence correction says that if a subject is singular, the verb should always be singular. And if the subject is plural, the verb should always be plural. Now, this is the basic rule that you have to keep in mind. And then, let's proceed with this particular rule in mind with all the sentences. So it would not confuse you much. Now, before getting into the actual sentence correction, practice sentences, I'll give you some basic idea about uh, how to identify a subject, and then like how to find out whether a subject is agreeing to a verb or not, right? Now, whenever we talk about a subject, we are basically talking about either a person or something that initiates an action, right? So when you look at the subject, if it is singular, it should be a name, probably a name such as Ramesh is singular because it refers to a single person, okay, an individual, right? And when we refer to words like he, she, or it means it is singular because he refers to one person, she refers to again one person, it can refer to neutral gender, and it is one person, of course. So basically what happens is that whenever you use he, she, or it, now these are called as pronouns, right? And pronouns are words which are used instead of nouns. So basically, when we talk about he, she, or it, we are talking about a replacement of nouns, and they are singular in form. Now, he means just one person, she means just again one person, and it refers to a neutral gender. Okay, again, it's a singular. So basically, when we use these words, what you have to do when it comes to verb is that you have to provide singular verbs, right? So I'll come to the verb later. Before that, I'll try to explain the subject clearly. So if I'm using words like say like we or you or they or I'm always supposed to use plural verbs. So basically, when we talk about say you can I can look at one person and say you, and then I can also look at all of them and say you. So it depends on the context whether it is singular or plural. Okay, and again, whenever you use I, okay, the first person. See, whenever you use I, you always use plural verb. Okay. In case if you feel that I'm going too fast, then you can note it down. No, basically you have to just remember that no, I and you will always take plural verbs. You understand? So we normally say like I sing. Okay, I sing. Fine, but then see you again, you can say you sing, you don't say you sings or I sings. Okay, so what happens here is I and you will always take plural verbs, and the rest of the pronouns like he, she, it, as I told you, it takes singular verbs, and we, they, these things, because they are plural subjects, they take plural verbs. Now, the next thing that we have to understand is how to identify whether a subject is plural or singular. This is something that we have to focus. Now, basically, when we look at a verb, okay, see, take for example a noun such as table. If you take the word table, now table is basically it's a singular noun. It's a countable noun. Table means one. Okay, it's countable and it is singular. Okay, and the plural is you just add yes, tables, and it becomes plural, right? And it means that there are many tables there, right? So basically, what we do is we either add yes or es or ies to the noun. So if you want to make a noun as a plural, you add yes, es, or ies. No, at the fundamental level. And but the in the case of verbs, what you have to understand is no, you must not add yes or es according to the nouns. Okay, in case of verbs, no, if there are no, if there are no s or es, no, it means no, it is plural. For example, I'm telling like I sing. I don't say I sings, right? So I say I sing. So sings only comes with singular nouns. For example, he sings, she sings, okay. But then we sing, okay. You sing, I sing, and they sing. You see the difference, okay. So whenever you add yes or es to a noun, it becomes plural, and whenever you don't add anything to a verb, no, it becomes singular. Is it clear? Fine. So this is what no, this is the basic thing that you have to understand. You can use it with other words as well. You can use it with swim, say play. Okay. So play. Okay. I play. Okay. You play. You understand? When I say I play, you play. Now we understand that we are the subject that we are using is like plural, and when we say play, it means that we are talking about plural subject, right? So subject and verb, they are agreeing to each other. But then no, when you say he plays, she plays, or it rains, okay, it rains, it means that we are talking about singular subjects. Now this is the most basic thing that you have to understand with sentence correction, and you have to practice this with different words. Okay, if you want to become familiar, if you want to understand everything very clearly, you have to try this kind of examples with a lot of verbs. Okay, because certain verbs will confuse you. You need to know which is singular and which is plural. Now for example, I'll give you another example. For example, if you take the word favor, okay, favor. Now favor means to help someone, or to support someone. So when I say favor, for example, I can use no, he favors the decision. Okay, he favors the decision. I don't say he favor the decision. It is wrong. Okay. Now he is a singular subject, and I have to use yes. Okay. So he favors the decision. Now this is the right form. And now in this sentence, there is no subject verb agreement error, because the subject and the verb, they are agreeing to each other. Okay. So similarly, when I use favor, I should use we favor the decision. Okay. That means we agree to the decision, or we support your decision. Okay. We are showing willingness to the decision that you have taken. So this is what we have to understand from, okay, these two things. Now this is called as the basic rule. So again, I'll repeat to you. So the basic rule states that a singular subject will always take singular verb, and a plural subject will always take a plural verb. So this is the first rule that you have to understand, because we'll have to see a lot of sentences, and we have to do a lot of practice based on this basic rule. So unless we are very strong, or we try to master this, we cannot go to the next rule. Now basically, when we talk about sentence correction, we have tons of rules, right? So there are around 70 to 80 rules that we have to master. But for those who are preparing for competitive exams, or any other placements or anything. So what you can do is, I'm not suggesting you to continue with all the rules. Rather, there are like 30 to 40 important rules which are very important, and then we have to focus on that. And I'll be trying to explain them one by one, in the forthcoming sessions. And whatever I can complete it today, I'll try to do it. And then later on, we'll conduct another live session where I'll be giving you uh, the kind of tips on how to use, or how to apply other rules in the sentences. Now, this is what you have to understand. Now, before getting into this, I told you that you have to also be aware about articles and prepositions. That's very important, right? So, articles and prepositions, I want you to just have a glance. In case you don't understand, you can drop in the comments. You can ask me for handling that topic. I would be very happy to handle that topic for you. So articles and prepositions, we can definitely do that. And then tenses also, I have no problem in handling tenses for you if you're willing. So I thought like I could just start with sentence correction, because I thought like articles and prepositions and tenses could be very fundamental and very basic. Okay, so in case you require help, definitely I'm ready to do it. Okay, this is one thing that I want to tell you. Now, whenever we talk about sentence correction, no, I told you that tenses play a very important role, no, in sentence correction. And basically, no, when we talk about tenses, we are particularly concerned about the three form of tenses, right? I'm not describing here about the 12 tenses in English. I'm talking about the three forms of tenses, right? No, it's called as the first form, the second form, and the third form. You need to have very good understanding about the three forms in order to identify certain things when it comes to error spotting or sentence correction. And I forgot to mention you that sentence correction can be also called as error spotting, right? So this is another thing that you have to note down, right? Spot the error or error spotting, it's also called like that. Okay, so basically, subject verb agreement is about identifying whether the subject and verbs are agreeing to each other. For this, we require some knowledge of tenses as well. So you need to be familiar with the three forms of verbs. Now, we have regular verbs, irregular verbs, and the all the basic differences and all. In case you don't, then you can check. No, you can try to check it on Google and find out the difference. Okay, so when it comes to tenses, and when it comes to the three forms, we have something called as V1, V2, and V3. These are the basics. Now, when we talk about V1, it's the first form of verb, which indicates the present tense, and V2 indicates the past tense, and V3 indicates the participle tense, okay, or the perfect tense. It's used in the perfect tense, right? Now, apart from this, we have something called as present participle, which takes ing and is used with continuous or progressive tenses, right? So you need to clearly know the difference between V2, okay, sorry, V1, V2, and V3. Unless you understand the difference, and unless you know how to use the verbs and the auxiliary verbs, no, which are there in these three forms, sometimes we could make some errors in tenses. So try to be familiar with this. In case you don't, in case you're not able to follow that, then I'll be handling tenses for you, and maybe we can look into it, right? So again, I'll tell you, like, V1 is for present tense, and V2 is for past tense, and V3 is for participle. Okay, it's called as participle, past participle to be precise. Okay, now these things, once you are aware about these three things, then we can straight away go to the sentence correction, solving the sentence correction questions. Now, before like we get into the question, I want you to tell this. This is very important. The idea is, no, these topics that comes under verbal. Okay, for competitive exams or for placements, we usually call it as verbal ability. Okay, that's the name of the subject area that we are focusing. It's called as verbal ability, and which is nothing but a higher form of English. Okay, at the competitive level. So it's kind of higher form of English, and you have topics which normally don't come no, in your normal English course. So if you want to be familiar with all these things, you have to understand that what the subject that we are dealing here is quite dry, and unless you have some passion, okay, it's very difficult to continuously study this, and especially for the purpose of examination, right? Another thing that I want to tell is, no matter how theoretical you study, it will not work out if you're not trying to solve the questions. So solving the questions is very, very important part of preparing for competitive exams. So you have to take up a lot of questions, you have to solve them, and you have to note down the time and see like how fastly you can solve, and how you're able to identify the rule and then apply that rule to the question, and try to figure out the right answer within the time limit. So all these things can possibly happen well only if you are putting it into practice. There is no use in listening to the theory part of the subject, and then if you're not working out, it's not going to work out. So this is one thing that I want to focus on. So I hope I've given a kind of good idea about how sentence correction, how important sentence correction, when it comes to competitive exams. And you can always definitely expect questions from error spotting or sentence correction in any exams, be it placements or be it competitive exams. You'll always have some questions. So this is one topic. I usually tell students that this is one topic where you can really score, marks, if you're very strong on trying to remember the rules. See, whenever we try to learn English, make sure that you try to understand the concept, and then try to write the exam, or do the assignment, whatever it is. Okay, English requires understanding. You cannot just memorize. Okay, you cannot just by heart, because see, I've seen, these topics which we are talking about, say articles or prepositions or voice or speech, whatever topics we are talking about are not something that we are looking at, just now. Okay, they have been in our curriculum right from our school. So still there are many of us who feel that these topics are quite difficult, especially that they are not interested in grammar. So basically, we have a kind of aversion towards grammar, and this is because you don't understand it. Okay, and you don't understand it in such a way that you can always remember it. Okay, so the first thing is, when you take up the subject, you have to make sure that you understand and then try to answer them. That's the only way to remember. If you can understand these topics perfectly in the right way, you will never forget the rules. You will also know like how to monitor your language, either in spoken or written, and you can find your own faults, and you can also know find out if anybody is making a mistake, and you can suggest them, no, this is not the way you have to use it, this is how you have to put it. You can suggest them, so you'll become a master in the course of time. But then you have to learn it to understand it properly. Okay, that's the only way that you have to do it. Now, the first rule, again, I'll just remind you once. The first rule states that a subject which is singular will always take a singular subject, and if the subject is plural, it will always take the plural verb. Now we'll get into uh, the questions. I'll show you some questions, and based on the questions, I'll tell you the rules. You can note down the rules in case you need a document. No, if you require the rules, no, as a document or in a PDF form, you can give me your email address in the comment section. So I'll forward that document to you, which could be very useful if you are preparing for any exams, right? And please be interactive. Even if you are not there on the live no, on the live session, you can watch this video later on, and then once you come across this, please feel free to leave your feedback and your no email address if you require some materials from me. I would be happy to share and help you for your preparation. Okay, now I'll try to just show you the screen, and it would be great like if you can just let me know if the screen is visible, because unless somebody says, I wouldn't be knowing that if it's visible or not. Okay, okay, I think the, yeah, I've enabled the view. I can okay, I think the, yeah, the screen is enabled. I'll try to, yeah. Now what we can do is like I'll show you this. You'll get an idea about how this works. Okay, so now this is no the practice session one, and I told you there are several rules, so I have divided into like practice session one and two. So in this session, we'll cover a few questions. I'll not be able to complete the complete slide because there are around 60 or 70 questions. So because this is the first time I'm trying with live, I want to make sure that everything works perfectly. So I'll try to try to explain you certain rules, and then maybe like we'll wind up the session today, and maybe from tomorrow onwards, like whenever no time permits, I'll try to continue with the where we left, right? So let's go to the first question. Yes, now this is how a sentence correction question appears in your question paper, right? So basically, if you're going for placements or for banking or for competitive exams, like be it, like UPSC or TNPSC or whatever exam it is, you will have objective questions. Okay, basically, it's about objective, questions, and you will be given a sentence like this, and the sentence, as I told you, is divided into like five parts, five divisions. And like see, if you can look at my cursor, you can see that now this particular phrase, okay, many a man is we'll consider it as part A, and this one is part B, and this is part C, and this is part D, and this is part E. Now, as soon as a sentence is given, what you have to do is try to look at the subject. Now, try to identify the subject. Once you identify the subject, then identifying the verb can become very easy. Now, as I told you, the first rule says no, a singular subject will take a singular verb and a plural subject will take a plural verb. Now, this is subject verb agreement. Now, the first thing that you have to do when you're given a sentence is see whether the subject and verb are agreeing to each other. This is the first thing that you have to check. Now, if you look at this sentence, now many of us would feel that like this term man is the subject. Is it clear? We normally consider, because without man there cannot be an action. So working depends on man. So if you look at this, like many a man have been working under me, and there is this option called as no error. Now, if you closely observe this sentence, you have to try to find out whether there is a error or no error. Now, basically, you need to have some prior knowledge about using these sentences. Now, you have to think about different examples, right? And you have to use your prior knowledge. Now, basically, no, if there is any situation where you have come across such a sentence, you have to think about it. Then you have to see whether this kind of sentence construction is possible or not. Now, all these things you have to do within the given time. Okay, you can't spend more than say 5 or 10 seconds for a question. Okay, and do note that in competitive exams and placements, usually negative marks are applicable. So it's very important that you have to try to guess the answer right. Otherwise, you will be losing marks, right? So if you look at the sentence, it's going to be very easy. Now, the way I've designed the slide is like the question is here, and the next slide will reveal you the answer. Okay. So if you look at this sentence here, many a man have been working under me. Now, basically in English, there is a word called as many. Now, many denotes plural. Okay, we are talking about several. Okay, that's what is many is about. So, many books means there are several books on the table, right? So, many means it's usually plural, right? But then, what you have to understand is in English there is another term, which is called as many. Okay, many. Just many. Now, is an article and man is a subject here. Now here there is a expression in English called as many, which is almost close to say many, but then many expression is always singular. Okay, it is never plural, and the construction many, though it seems to be quite odd to speak or to write, it's perfectly correct in terms of usage. So many is a phrase which is there in English and which denotes, the sense is same. It's like saying many, okay? But then when we use many, we have to use a singular noun and then followed by a singular verb, because many expression will always take singular verb. Now here, instead of a singular verb, we have a plural auxiliary verb. Now you should be knowing that have is the plural form or auxiliary verb of perfect tense, right? And the singular form is has, has. Now has is singular and have is plural. Now here we are using many a man. So this should be many a man has been working under me. Okay? Many a man has been working under me. So the error is in the second part of the sentence. Now in your online test, you'll have to mark B as the where the error is. B option would be the answer. See, try to understand that in error spotting questions, you're not supposed to change anything. You're not supposed to change anything because everything would be in multiple choice, and it would be as options. So you cannot literally change anything there. Instead, what you have to do is you just have to mark the portion which contains the error. Now here, many a man is singular and man is again a singular, and you know what is the plural of man? It is men. Okay, men. Okay, men. Men is plural. So many a man uh, basically is singular, and this one, the auxiliary verb, needs to be singular again. So many a man has been working under me. Now the error is in the B part. Okay, so if you look at the answer, it is clearly indicated. Okay, so many a man has been working under me. So see, this is just an example that I'm showing you. Now, I told you that you need to have some idea about tenses, okay, to solve this. Now, if you don't know what is has, if you don't know what is have, if you don't know what is am, is, are, was, where, then it is very difficult to, go on with this solving. Okay, so that's the basics. Okay, and I'll be, no, I'm telling you that like I can help you with that in another session maybe. So here I'm going to give you a basic idea about how sentence correction works. Now let's go to the next question. Here, if you look at the question, you see like cattle were grazing in the meadows near our farm, and there is this option no error. Now there are always, as I told you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions. Now see, the sentence can be as short as this and as long as as they give. Okay, so basically what happens is that these are all no I suggest that these are all kind of very very simple sentences. but when it comes to the real exam, you will have a lot of no complex sentences, right? So I can't start the session with introducing complex sentences. So I wanted to go with the fundamentals. So I've given most of the sentences which are easier to do, and then slowly we can increase the difficulty level. Now that's how it works. Now when we talk about when we talk about say cattle's were grazing in the meadows near our farm, and you see this option called as no error. Now here you have to find out whether there is any error or not. So you just have to read it once. See, the idea is you cannot take much time. You have to figure it out very soon because you don't have much time, because you have reading comprehension, you have parajumbles, you have critical reasoning, all such big topics coming in your competitive exam. So if you spend a lot of time for this, you'll not have much time to focus on that. So you have to master it in such a way that you try to figure out the answer as early as possible. Now when we look at cattle's were grazing in the meadows near our farm, if you look at this where grazing, I don't think there is any error with where grazing. Now then you look at the meadows. In the meadows means in the in the greenland or in the grass, right? So it's not an issue. I don't think this could be wrong. Near a farm, now this is an expression that we always use, near our house. So you it's if near our house is correct, then near our farm is also correct, right? There is nothing wrong with this expression. And now the only place that we have a doubt is cattles, right? Now, is there a word called as cattles in English? Now, that is what we have to figure out. If you are able to identify that, then you will not have any issues. Now, to understand that, you have to know that this is kind of uh, collective now. It's called as collective, right? Now, it represents a group. You understand? Now, for example, class. Class means there are a lot of students in the class. That's how it is. Now, cattle. When we say cattle, now whether it is you're referring to just one or many, it's usually called as cattle. It's not cattles. There is no expression in English called as cattles. Okay, so it's better to say cattle now, because when you say cattle, it means we are representing the group. Okay, so we are talking about collective nouns. So again, no, we are getting into nouns now. Now this comes under parts of speech. So you see, all the fundamental topics are getting covered in error spotting or sentence correction. Okay, so no, familiarity with these fundamental concepts are very important, right? But then if you keep solving all these questions, then it's going to become very easier for you. You don't have to go and literally read the rule. You just have to solve questions, and then you can connect back to the rule. Okay, so there is no word in English called as cattle, so instead we would say cattle. So the error is in the first part. Look at the answer. It should be cattle were grazing in the meadows near a farm. Okay, so the error is in a part. Now that is what you have to understand, right? Fine. Now we'll go to the next one. Now, in this question, I told him the story in details to make him understand it fully. Okay, I'll read it once again. I told him the story in details to make him understand it fully. And we have no error, right? So if you look at the sentence, we'll have to read it separately. Now, for example, I told him. Is there anything wrong with that expression? I told him. I said to him, I told him. I don't think there is any error with this particular expression because we use it, right? The story, you say the story is beautiful, the story is good, the story was interesting. There is no, error in that particular expression as well. Now, next, in details. Do we say in detail or in details? We'll come back to it. And you look at the next expression. To make him understand it fully. To make him understand it fully. There's nothing wrong in that. Okay, you have to make him understand something fully. Now I don't see that there is any error in this expression. Now here in the C section, that is in the C part, you see in details. We usually don't say in details. Okay, instead we say in detail. I want to discuss this in detail with you. I want to discuss this in detail with you. It's not in details with you. You understand? Similarly, if you take the word information, it is information. We don't say informations. Okay, I want to share some information, whether it's few or whether it's more. Okay, whether it's many, whatever it is, you just say information. You don't say informations, right? So you have to connect this with certain other examples so that this becomes easier. Another thing that you have to note, when solving these questions is sometimes it will really confuse you. Okay, it will really confuse you. You'll not feel like there is any error in the sentence, but then you have to closely watch that to know whether there is any error or not. Okay, so this is very important. Sometimes you'll get confused whether there is any error or not. So don't hurry and just mark the answer as no error, because you cannot figure it out very easily if the sentences are quite complex, right? So you have, you have to spend as much as time as possible to make sure that your prediction is correct. So in this sentence, the error is in the third part. So I told him the story in detail to make him understand it fully. That's how we have to write it. We'll see one more question. Now here, I have. Now basically, whenever we try to speak, we always say I have. I have met him, right? I have completed my homework. Now that means that there is no problem with I have. Because I already told you that I will always take a plural verb. So have is plural, right? So and the singular is has. So I have, there is no mistake. Okay, so that's clear. In the next expression, two sister-in-laws whose husbands are all well settled in Delhi. Whose husbands are all well settled in Delhi. The sentence seems to be right, right? I don't think there is any error with the sentence. If you look at this, we just say, I have two sisters-in-laws whose husbands are all well settled in Delhi, right? If you're able to find any error, then I think you are on the right track. See, basically, the error is in the second part of the sentence. Now here we say, I have two sister-in-laws. Now this should be, I have two sisters-in-law. So the S should come here. You don't normally supply yes to the ending. Okay, lost. So this should be, I have two sisters-in-law or brothers-in-law. You understand? That's how it has to be. Whose husbands are all well settled in Delhi, it doesn't have any error. So again, the error is in the sentence, the expression in the second part of the sentence. Now, see, what you have to do is you have to connect this with some rule. You have to look at the sentence, connect with that with the rules. I told you there are 80 rules. Basically, there are like 80 or 100 rules. And if you look at the sentence, you should be able to remember the word, remember the rules. That's how you have to master it. And sometimes a sentence can connect to two or three or four rules at the same time. But then you have to again, like analyze it properly to find out, the which rule is really applicable to that sentence. Now, this is something that will come out of practice. So it would take some time, right? If you're starting with error spotting or sentence correction, it would take some time. So, but then this is going to be really interesting, because if you are mastering this topic, you'll be able to identify errors while you talk or while you write or while you're listening to someone speaking or writing. You read a document, you read a material, and you'll be able to identify mistakes and error. If somebody talks to you, you'll know what kind of mistakes they are making. Now you'll be so eloquent, okay, if you're trying to master this topic, and you can suggest corrections and rectifications. So that's the beauty of learning sentence correction. Okay, we'll go to the next question now. See, you can look at the solution here. I have two sisters-in-law whose husbands are all well settled in Delhi. Now, this is how we have solved it, right? Now, this is again easy because as soon as I look at the question, we come to understand the now this is about this expression called as many, because we saw this in the first question. Like many a person have lost their life and property in the riots. See, if you just read like that, you will find that everything seems to be all right. Okay, if you go very fast, like many a person have lost their life and property in the riot. Now this seems like everything is meaningful. Now I don't find any error when I read it very fast. But then when I stop, when I think, I could see some error. Now the error is, again I told you, many is an expression in English that is like always singular, right? So many a person has lost, because person is singular and persons is plural. Okay, so many a person needs to be singular, and it has to take a singular auxiliary verb. So you have to write many a person has lost their life and property in the riots. Okay, so basically again, uh, if you look at the sentence, you'll find that it's a kind of repetition. So once if you are thorough with this rule, you'll be able to solve the similar questions. Okay, it's just that once you have to understand it properly, and then you will be able to remember the complete this thing. That's how it works, right? So this is what I want you to understand now. Now the questions that I've shown to you are quite basic, but then we'll have to solve all such questions in order to progress to the next level, and we'll keep doing it with the forthcoming sessions. So in case you come across this video, and if you find out this video to be useful, please share your comments on the comment box, so that I know like what modifications or changes, or if you have any suggestions, I could do that, right? So again, I'll conduct separate live sessions on articles, prepositions, and tenses shortly, to make sure that completely understand the fundamentals before we proceed to topics like this. So the more interactive you are in the session, the more number of feedbacks and the more number of suggestions that I'll be getting, it would be easy for me to structure my session in such a way that it's meeting all your needs. Now, please let me know your requirements. Please let me know like what else is required for you when it comes to verbal or when it comes to English, whatever it is. So basically, this is what I have planned, and I think this is the first session, and I hope things have gone well. I'm yet to check the streaming. I don't know if everything is proper, if my voice is very clear or not. I'm not very sure. Maybe as we proceed, I'll get used to it, and I'll try to deliver as best quality as possible. So thank you very much for joining today for the session. In case you have missed the live session, please you can find the recordings in my YouTube channel, and you can share your comments. And I hope this is going to be useful to all of you. Thank you so much. Good night.